Reggie Wright Jr. pretends that he didn't know that David Kenner was fired on the same day that he was fired, in reference to David Kenner not showing up to the meeting between Afeni Shakur and Jimmy Iovine. Also, Reggie Wright Jr. embellishes the story in regards to the Chris Tucker after party shooting by saying that Tupac was scared when Tupac didn't even hear the gunshots. Let's get into some of this straight game.
Life is like the cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button notification. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's very much appreciated. And also tell a friend. More importantly, if you're new to the channel and you'd like to be notified when I drop some of this straight game or drop a new video, please do me a favor and hit that bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I finally got Reggie Wright to admit that he didn't know what he's been saying he knew all the time, right? But even in him admitting that he didn't know, he once again tries to impute another lie. And I'm going to give you the proper information in regards to that. I need you to watch this video right here from 5:53, 5 minutes and 53 seconds until the end, 8 minutes and 48 seconds, right? Finally, I call him Gullible John, the guy that does the videos with Reggie Wright, because they sit over there and they set up these questions. You know, this is not a real interview. This is actually pandering to the audience about things that are irrelevant, that are not true, and so on and so forth. But based on my video that I did, right? This video right here, John then goes and looks at my video because it's so fact-based and so documentation always beats out the conversation when it comes to the truth and the facts, right? Check this out. So John asks Reggie about the meeting in regards to Afeni Shakur and Jimmy Iovine, and asks him, was he aware of the meeting? And Reggie Wright says, yeah, I was aware of the meeting. I think it was like 98. No, it was not 1998. It was not 1998. Because based on the fact that the Machiavelli album, she was trying to put a cease and desist on the Machiavelli album. Machiavelli album came out in November of 1996. So these negotiations had happened 2 years before Reggie even thought about what he was saying. They reported on it in about 1997, they reported on it, right? And told what happened in that meeting. But that meeting occurred in 1996. As we know, Machiavelli was released in November of 96. And this is what the basis for everything that was happening. And once again, Reggie Wright has been saying that they settled, or we settled. We didn't settle anything. You weren't there. Nobody from Death Row was there. David Kenner wasn't there. So we didn't settle anything. Jimmy Iovine settled it because Tupac was still signed to Interscope. Point blank, period. The contract says that. The bail agreement says that. And like I said, documentation always beats out a weak conversation when trying to explain what the actual facts of the matter is. Now, so when Reggie Wright says 98, you can look at his face and tell that he's not really sure, but is just saying something, as he usually does, right? So now he goes on and talks about how why David Kenner didn't show up. He was like, I don't know why David Kenner didn't show up. You know, something could have happened. No, I know why David Kenner didn't show up. And Reggie knows why David Kenner didn't show up. right? David Kenner didn't show up because on August 27th, the same day that Reggie Wright got the facts from Yasmin Fula and Euthanasia Incorporated firing him and his security company for negligence and not allowing Tupac to take his masters out of the studio because of a direction given by David Kenner. David Kenner was fired on that same day on August 27th, 1996. That's why David Kenner didn't show up. He was fired. Just like Reggie Wright was fired. See, once again, but Reggie Wright pretends as if he didn't know. Well, I don't know why David Kenner didn't show up. You see what I'm saying? You see the misleading lies and just being straight up dishonest with people who in the audience or watching the video may not know. And then some people may, know. But like I said, it's insulting to a person's intelligence. This is public information, as well as the fact, as of recent, when I put out made the video in regards to the facts that were sent to Reggie on the same day, August 27th, 1996, Reggie Wright was fired. And on that same day, Tupac and them forwarded a letter to David Kenner letting him know that he was fired. That's why he didn't show up to the meeting with Afeni and Jimmy Iovine. Well, Jimmy Iovine gave Afeni not a settlement, but paid her in advance, a non-refundable advance of $3 million with more to come later on down the line. So you see what I've been telling you has been the truth. Reggie Wright didn't know. He wasn't aware. He wasn't around. He was not in charge of death row. He did not have the authority to make any kind of real decisions at death row. And this is a fact. Right? So now, once again, this is the reason why they had came after me, because like I said, once again, when you deal with the fact of the matter, not about, what he's saying and, because, Reggie, you've been around and you were around and you hung out with Tupac. No, they're trying to insinuate things that didn't happen because you don't know if you weren't around back then at that particular time, right? You wouldn't know that. I got another thing for you, and I want to give you this. So I found this. Shout out to the brother Alex Alonso. I love what he's been doing over there, just, capturing the gang culture and things of that nature, man, and really giving the people some good information and some substantive content. But I found on Alex Alonso's, because Reggie and them have been deleting videos. Remember I told you about the Chris Tucker after party in which me and Dr. Dre had walked outside, and as soon as we walked outside from that party, shooting started. Boom, 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 gunshots and so on and so forth. Dre jumped in the bushes. I got down on the ground, banging on the door. Suge came out of the party, opened the door, and he came over to the door and he opened the door for me and asked me, "What's up, homie?" Right? And I told him, "Yo, they shooting out here." I found a video on Alex Alonso's page, and this is very, very important. I want you to hear, if you look at this video right here, from this number right here into this other number right here on the video, you'll hear Reggie Wright talk about that incident, right? But what he does is he embellishes his participation versus what he heard versus what he didn't hear. The only two people that were outside at that particular time that could really hear these gunshots is myself and Dr. Dre. And I can tell you why that is a fact. Because when Suge Knight came out to open the door for me, he asked me, "What's up, homie?" Remember, I was just inside the party. So me and Dre leaving. And I'm like, "Yo, they shooting out here." And so Reggie Wright pretending as if he knew and how bad this shootout really happened and how bad it was and how Kevin Kevin Hackey had protected Tupac from these gunshots and so on and so forth. Man, that's simply not true, man. When we went back into the party, me and Dre went back into the party, they called the custodian guy. We waited at the front door because the chains was on the front door, locking up the front door. We would leave. Everybody had to leave out the back to get back up on the Sunset Boulevard side of Hollywood. And so, all of that stuff that Reggie, and Kevin Hackey had protected Tupac and he felt safe and all of this. Man, that didn't happen, man. That didn't happen. I'm telling you right now because I was there. And I was the one that banged on the door to get the door back open. And when Suge came out, he had asked me what happened. So if he knew what had happened already, he's already, rounding up the troops. That's when he rounded up the troops. When I told him, they shooting out here. And me and Dre came back inside and we waited to go out on the front door on the front side of Sunset Boulevard. Once again. So, this is what Reggie Wright does. And this is what he's been doing for a long time. And so, like I said, my video had basically encouraged, should I say, John to ask the question in regards to that meeting. But Reggie Wright pretended that it happened in 98. It didn't. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. Right? And then with the situation involving David Kenner, David Kenner didn't show up. Something could have happened. No, he got fired. That's what happened. You understand what I'm saying? And just like Reggie claimed, like the date of the letter that he received firing him happened in April. It didn't. Notice he keeps changing the dates of situations that happen, right? So it's not closer to what it is in being the truth of 97 involving that Afeni meeting, right? Versus August 27th, 1996, when he got fired. He pushed it back to April. He never got a letter in April. The only letter that he got was on August 27th, 1996, in regards to him being fired, and David Kenner got a letter on that same exact day, August 27th, 1996. And so, even at the party, once again, he claims, me and Suge, we was just laughing about that because we from Compton, we hear gunshots all the time, right? And true, that might be but he was trying to minimize what had actually happened and what was going on, which he didn't even know. He didn't know, right? Suge may have ran that past him or something like that after I told Suge, but Suge was the one that came and opened up the door. And that's a fact. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, once again, Reggie Wright is forced to admit that he didn't know. But once again, he's acting like he did. But this time, he gave himself up. And all of the stuff and the information that he's been pushing out here lately, it's been lies. And so I'm glad that John finally is asking this guy some real questions and stop being Reggie Wright's flunky, if you will. You know what I mean? For making these videos with people, for the people and misleading them in regards to what the actual facts are. Like I said, when he said that, the crazy part, when he said about David Kenner, David Kenner not showing up, I don't know, something could have happened. As if we don't know, or as if most of the people don't know that Tupac fired David Kenner. And now we seen the facts of Reggie being fired. We know that David Kenner was fired on this exact same day as Reggie was. And the hijacking of the story at the Chris Tucker after party. Right? He didn't know what happened. The only person that knew what happened when I told Suge, and Suge might have told him. And now he came up with this elaborate ass story in regards to how Kevin Hackey was protecting Tupac, and because Tupac was scared as shit, Tupac wasn't scared. I was right there looking at him and talking to him when we was walking out the front door. He looked like he had regret in his face is what he did. I'm going to tell you straight up and down. He looked like he had regret in his face as to the situation that he involved himself with and being with Death Row. That's the look that Tupac had on his face at that particular time, to be perfectly honest with you. So, your boy Delray, straight gang.